Hey, I don't have a social security number and I just lost a job. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite movies. And today I'm going to be doing a quick movie review on a film I watched yesterday, Civil War by Alex Garland. So I went all the way to downtown LA to watch a movie in the theaters, and that is Civil War. And it is directed by Alex Garland, who is a frequent collaborator with British director Danny Boyle. I mean, they're both British. And co-wrote 28 Days Later and Sunshine. Later, he would go on to solo projects like the A24 sci-fi darling Ex Machina, the sci-fi cosmic horror amalgamation of Annihilation, and most recently, a couple of years ago, he released the film Men, which was very polarizing. I thought it's pretty good for what it is. I thought it's really interesting and artistic and tasteful, but obviously it's a little on the nose for some people. It's a little, basic as far as A24 horror goes, but I can totally see the appeal. Now we have a new film from Alex Garland, Civil War. This piece of hair. Okay. So, Civil War, as explained in the title, is about a civil war that happened in America, where for some reason California and Texas became allies against the rest of the states, which are under control of a fascist government. And so the movie focuses on four journalists, four journalists who travel across America or just from New York to DC, but it's not like a direct route. It's like they have to go to Virginia and then they have to, like travel around and avoid, battlefields, battle zones. And it is ultimately a road movie. So first of all, I like that it's a road movie. I think what's a better way to show and understand this world but by making this a road movie, have the characters traverse through different territories and meet different people. Um, and I also really like that this movie is about journalism and war photography and less about actually fighting a war or anything like that. I don't know. I just think the average person may not be able to appreciate it. The average person may think, oh, Civil War, so it's about the war, it's about the soldiers. So the main character is probably a soldier or in the military. But no, I like that it's about journalism because I feel like this movie is almost an ode to documentarians, especially war documentarians. And even though I've never been in a war before, but I've been in hectic situations where I have a camera in my hand and I'm the behind the scenes photographer for a chaotic film shoot. And so I relate a lot to these characters in a way. I want to be there when something happens. I want to be there with a camera, clicking the shutter when something happens because I need to capture it, because I need to tell the world what's happening. So I really relate to what the characters are doing, and that's something I really like. Another thing is there's a lot of good filmmaking here. There are a lot of shots that's really out of focus. I'm a deep focus guy myself, but I have a certain admiration to people who know how to use shallow focus in order to evoke a sense of surrealism and dreaminess. There are so many moments where the characters are traumatized and shocked, and they're sort of in focus, but everything behind them is like warped and out of focus. And it really, really nails that shock surrealism. The Jesse Plemons scene is easily the best scene in the film. Easily. No competition. Jesse Plemons keep playing assholes, and he's just so good at it. For some reason, this scene really reminds me of Breaking Bad. Not because Jesse Plemons is in there and he's Todd in Breaking Bad, but just the tension. The fact that it's a desert and two people are kneeling on the ground with a gun to their head. It's so Breaking Bad. But just the tension building in that scene, Jesse Plemons' nonchalant, cool acting, it's so damn good. It's so damn good. And I actually really like the final act of the film as well. Seeing Washington D.C. turn into a like a CS:GO map, turning into a war zone is kind of crazy, and it's actually very spectacular. I'm glad I'm able to see it on a big screen, because seeing all these buildings on fire, explosions, people screaming, it's harrowing. It's something you need to see on a big screen. And this is probably one of the most big budget scenes A24 has ever put out. A24 is hailed as a low budget indie studio, but actually seeing them move towards a more big budget territory is actually really exciting. Like, I really want to know the things A24 is able to do with a bigger budget and with talented, creative, artistic people. So the Washington D.C. sequence, actually impressive. And here's another hot take. I like the music. I like the needle drops. A lot of people hate the music in this film, and I understand why. There are so many moments in this movie where an ugly battle is going on, and we hear happy, uplifting music. And that's like weird, right? But the thing is, it's intentionally like that because I feel like the uplifting music is commentary on people who like war and violence. And it creates this effect where we're suddenly confronted with the idea of, okay, we're seeing something really sad and painful, but then we're hearing something really happy and uplifting. Or not happy and uplifting, but like fun and exciting. How should we feel about this? Is this the war that we're going to fight? So I actually really like the needle drops in this movie. I think they're pretty thought provoking. Another complaint would be that the scenes end too abruptly. Like, sometimes some things happen and then it just ends, and then the four characters are back in the car and they're back on the road. I do really like that it's basically the director saying, hey, but life goes on. You know, we have to keep going. We have to reach the destination. But that being said, though, I do think that the movies could have been 2 hours long. I wish we could have stayed with some of these side characters more, because they're very interesting. And that's, I guess, the biggest complaint I have with the movie is that the main character, played by Kirsten Dunst, who is really good, but the writing of her character is pretty flat and one note. She pretty much stays the same throughout the entire film, but everyone else around her are really interesting. Wagner Moura, who played Pablo Escobar in Narcos, he's here and he's fantastic. He is just this ball of energy. And every other side character, Jesse Plemons, and then near the end, the soldiers, Nick Offerman as a president, they're all way more interestingly portrayed than Kirsten Dunst's characters herself. Finally, the final complaint I have is that some moments just feel very unrealistic to me. It doesn't really thwart the enjoyment of this film. It's just nitpicks, right? Like in the final sequence where all the soldiers are wearing helmets and bulletproof vests, why aren't the reporters wearing helmets too? They're also in the battlefield. Like, they're risking their lives here, just like you are. They should be wearing helmets. And also, the idea that the president is hiding under the oval table during that sequence is kind of hilarious. Like, shouldn't there be like a bunker underneath the White House or something like that? But I understand why this film would be divisive. I understand why this film would be polarizing, because this film is not picking a side. California and Texas, blue state and a red state coming together? What? Ultimately, I think it's a smart choice that this movie doesn't pick a side. It's not a movie about left wing versus right wing. That's definitely not what the movie my roommate is whipping up some eggs. Um yes, keep going. Yes, okay. Um ooh, keep going. Yes. Come on. Come on. Come on, brother. Come on. Okay. Whew. Okay, it's still going. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, I understand why people wouldn't like this film. True, I get it. Um, I think it's deliberate that the movie doesn't try to pick a side because by making this movie about right versus left, it takes away the central theme of the film, which is chaos and journalism. Um, and by making the politics vague, instead of making this movie political, it's more about the result of such politics. So a lot of people go into this movie thinking that it's going to be some insightful political commentary. It's not. This is a movie about journalists. And I'm okay with that, you know. I don't need some big bold political commentary or anything. And I know this movie is released in election year and it's very deliberately released that way. Sure, but ultimately it's a movie about journalism. There's one death scene near the end which I thought was very unnecessary, totally avoidable, but overall this movie is not that bad. It's not as bad as some people say it is. I'm feeling a strong 7 on this thing. So, have you watched Civil War? Comments below, let me know. Subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.